Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to the eastern wing of the Stink Bug Works. I'm here with my time sink. I have been dedicating every free moment I have to this thing. It's partly one of the reasons you don't see any running videos. But that's all going to change soon because we are rapidly approaching the point where this thing has to be put up for a couple of weeks for this yellow to totally cook off. If I were to put a piece of masking tape on this today and leave it there for several hours or a couple of days, I'd pull it off and it would leave a mark because this stuff still isn't, cow skull in the desert dry. It's not that dry yet. So soon work is going to come to a quick halt on this. I am going to continue to work on the interior, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Since I put the alternator and power steering pump on the engine, I got to trim this back a little bit for everything to fit, but that's piece of cake. It now says skedaddle jet. So here's the plan. I'll pull the engine and the interior out and just let this dry for a long time. Then, because there's a big cliff here where the little man jumps off the yellow, and finally hits the wood down here, I'm going to mask this off. I'll leave just a little bit of yellow showing under the mask and shoot several coats of clear on here, shoot a coat, sand it, shoot a coat, sand it, shoot a coat, sand it, so I can build this up. Then when everything's said and done, I'll have to let that cook off for a week or two. Then I can put the black trim with the red tape on here, let that dry for a couple of weeks, and then finally shoot clear on it. So that's kind of the sequence of events. I've been thinking about the interior. Let me get Jack out of here and put him in his box of detail parts. Tell you what I've been thinking. Follow me on this. Part of my research in doing this, I researched, because this is 1/12 scale, I researched making dollhouse furniture. And making dollhouse furniture, they make this stuff out of cardboard, but they put fabric over it, so they'll make basically a cardboard armature. Kind of like, the Statue of Liberty has an armature inside of it, and then they hung all these copper panels on this armature. Well, that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to put vinyl fabric on here. I don't know whether or not I'm going to put fabric on a piece of balsa and then glue the balsa onto here. And that way I can do something fancy with the way it meets the edge, or just wrap balsa up and over, and that'll be the edge. Now, here's what I'm thinking. Follow me on this. I still have an ample amount of this burl left, and I'm thinking I'm going to put burl right here on his desk. Remember how this rides in here. Oh, the darn motor wires. if they're not plugged into motors, they're getting in the way. Okay, follow me anyway. But so this could kind of be his desk, and I'm thinking of no paint on this, but fabric. And so I'd actually like the fabric to kind of wrap around the joint between where this drops in. I'd like fabric to wrap around like that. So it sort of covers up the joint. And so we'd have some cool wraparound happening here and here, and then a real wraparound happening there. Now follow me on this. Follow me on this. This portion right here, I'm going to start putting more of a cup shape into it. And this portion I'm going to narrow. So I want this portion about half this width. So there'll actually be a square edge where this meets right here. And here's what I'm going to do. This is a sheet of 6mm EVA foam. This is the same jam foam that Big B uses and they make yoga blocks out of, and you'll find it in packing material and what. But I've got sheets of this in 6mm, this stuff right here, and 3mm. So what I'm going to do, now follow me on this, I'm going to cut some of a curve in here, and then I'm going to cut some of this EVA foam in a shape like this, and I'll cut out the middle. So I'll have a shape kind of like that. And this shape will be such that it will fit around this curve I make and butt right into this end will be squared off right there. So it will butt right into where it hits on this nice table. I'll have fabric on the sides here as well. But now this, here's where it gets tedious, boys and girls. To this, I am going to take a piece of fabric and cut it out and cut a slit here in the center, and then I'll start cutting little slits like this in it, so I can take this fabric and wrap it around this foam thing, and either stitching or using contact cement or this fabric glue I have, attach that fabric to this. Now, here's where it gets cool. Do I have one handy? Stir sticks. You know, the little plastic stir sticks. I'm going to get little plastic stir sticks, and I'm going to measure out pieces of fabric to where this dimension right here is such that when I take this little stir stick, it's like 2.5, 3mm. This width of fabric will just be the circumference of this. And I'm going to take a bunch of these little stir sticks with fabric, and I'll coat, you know, this stuff with rubber cement or contact cement so it'll stick to the tube. And I'm going to make a bunch of tube sections that are covered with the same fabric. And then I'm going to cut out the tubes and kind of squish the ends together and then stack the tubes vertically in this piece of foam that's covered with fabric. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down? We're talking tuck and roll, man. And we're talking tuck and roll. So I can cut an outer frame that will go in there, and then I can make little tuck and roll things. I'm going to have to make each one individually, and then once I put him in there, I'm thinking this foam's going to be soft enough that I can make them slightly oversized, and that'll kind of bend the tips to where they'll kind of tuck in there, and it'll all look cool. And then I'll do the same thing on the bottom here, but instead of being a full thing, the bottom will just be kind of a U shape with tuck and roll in it here. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down? Can you see what I'm drawing? Am I going too fast? Am I wiping out my drawings? Let me tell you a great story. I had this calculus professor. His name was Mr. Obata, and he would do this, and we had chalkboards at the day, but he would have his eraser in this hand and the chalk in this hand, and he'd be going, any questions? And it was, following that guy was so hard, and he never left anything on the board for more than a couple of seconds. If you didn't write it down the instant he was writing it down, you didn't get it. Oh, it was tough to follow him. But I digress. So that's my idea. This thing's going to go up on the shelf and harden for a long time. I'll tinker around with detailing the motor. The last thing I'm going to do is to glue this on. I may cut this wider and do some refinishing on here if I need to. But this will be the last thing. But what do you guys think about forgetting paint in here? Forget it. Fabric and a last little bit of wood. Find a nice little area. Like this area here is kind of cool. Can you see it? Maybe this area, and just do it right. And I won't go into all the serious waterproofing nonsense that I did here. I'll put a coat of epoxy on it and shoot a coat of clear paint on it and call it good. Well, I'll put enough epoxy to fill the grain, because this stuff, it's alive, so it's not a perfect flat surface. It has ridges, and it has nooks and crannies. It has ruffles and ridges and such, so they need to be filled with epoxy. Like, see all this? I could peel it back like this and it would kind of pop up, because the grain's kind of coming at you right there and going this way right there. That's the whole point of burl. The grain is out of control. Okay, have I touched on the challenge. The challenge. I mentioned I have bonus prizes. And I'm not getting a whole lot of feedback on this. So I'm going to tell you what one of the bonus prizes is. I'm not going to tell you what the prize is. I'm going to tell you what you have to do to win the prize. And one of the bonus prizes is, and I've had this planned for quite some time, that there would be bonus prizes. And so I do have several bonus prizes. One of them is a bonus prize goes to the first competitor that turns in a video or photos or evidence of his 2S run. All you got to do is be the first guy and you get a prize. That'd be a cool prize. You look, it's something that you go, oh, this is pretty cool, but you wouldn't normally buy for yourself. So there you go. I'm giving away secrets. I won't give away any more secrets, but there are other bonus prizes. You'll just have to figure out what you have to do to win the other bonus prize. Until next time, boys and girls, jet out.